All right, listeners, buckle up. We're diving deep into sleep optimization today.
Sounds exciting.
We've got this transcript, probably from some YouTube video, and it's all about getting better sleep, fighting insomnia, boosting energy, all that good stuff.
And I bet it's packed with tips.
Oh, totally. But what's cool is it goes beyond just like the number of hours you sleep.
It's not just about hitting that magic 8 hours, right?
Exactly. It's about sleep quality, understanding the different stages and how to hack them for maximum benefit.
That's where the real magic happens, getting those deep sleep and REM cycles dialed in.
Okay, so deep sleep, that's when our bodies repair themselves, right? Muscles, tissues, all that.
You got it. It's like your body's overnight maintenance crew comes in and gets to work, repairing tissues, boosting your immune system, releasing hormones, essential stuff.
And REM, that's the dreamland, right?
Exactly. That's where your brain's busy processing emotions, consolidating memories, and even sparking creativity.
So it's not just about clocking in 8 hours. It's about making those hours count. Man, I'm already rethinking my own sleep habits.
I know, right? This stuff is fascinating, and this source is packed with practical advice. It even has some surprising insights, like how short naps can be strategically used.
Yeah.
Boost memory and creativity.
The Edison's power nap trick.
Exactly. He'd fall asleep holding a steel ball, and when it dropped, bam, he'd wake up right at that sweet spot for creative thinking.
I love that story. Okay, so sleep stages, remind me, how many are there again?
4 main ones: wakefulness, light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep.
Oh, wait, wakefulness, that's part of the sleep cycle.
It might seem counterintuitive, but yeah, understanding how we transition from wakefulness to sleep is important. It's like setting the stage for good sleep.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So we start with wakefulness, then what?
Then you drift into light sleep. Breathing slows down, muscles relax, might even get those little hypnic jerks.
Oh, yeah. Those always freak me out a bit.
It's just your body letting go of tension. Light sleep is a light stage, easy to wake up from, which is actually good for optimizing those sleep cycles. And get this, light sleep is where some serious memory magic happens.
Memory magic. Tell me more.
During this phase, your brain generates these bursts of activity called sleep spindles.
Sleep spindles, huh?
Yeah, they're like tiny electrical signals that help transfer information from short-term to long-term memory. It's like your brain is filing away important stuff while you sleep.
Wow, that's incredible. So
Yeah.
the sleep spindles are like tiny little memory makers.
Pretty much. And this source has some great advice on how to use light sleep to your advantage. Like if you're studying, try taking 20-minute naps to enhance your memory.
So power naps aren't just for geniuses like Edison. They can help anyone learn better.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm sold on naps. So what about deep sleep?
Deep sleep is where the real restorative magic happens. Brain waves slow down, body temperature drops, and your body focuses on repair and recovery. Tissues, muscles, hormones, the whole works.
It's like hitting the reset button for our bodies, right?
You got it. But here's the thing, we get less deep sleep as we age.
Ah, that explains a lot.
That's why prioritizing sleep quality becomes even more crucial as we get older.
Makes sense. Any tips for maximizing deep sleep?
Definitely. This source suggests things like regular exercise, a cool, dark, quiet room, and white noise can help block out distractions too.
So creating the ultimate sleep sanctuary.
Exactly. Now, last but not least, we have REM sleep, the land of dreams.
Ah, yes, where our brains go wild.
It's wild because your body's completely still, muscles relax, but your brain is super active, almost like you're awake.
That explains those crazy vivid dreams. So what's actually happening during REM?
Lots of emotional processing, memory consolidation, and that creativity boost we talked about.
So it's like our brains are working through the day's emotional baggage, huh?
You could say that. And the source emphasizes that to optimize REM sleep, you gotta avoid caffeine and alcohol before bed, and stick to a consistent sleep schedule.
Makes sense. Keep those internal clocks running smoothly. So how do all these stages fit together throughout the night? Do we just, go through each one once?
Not quite. We actually cycle through these 4 stages multiple times. Each cycle lasts about 90 minutes. And early cycles are dominated by deep sleep. That's why you feel groggy if you wake up during those early hours.
Ugh, yeah. Hitting that snooze button too early never ends well.
As the night goes on, REM sleep becomes more prominent.
So if you're waking up feeling groggy, you might be cutting off those REM-rich cycles. Interesting.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the entire cycle, not just the total number of hours. Which, by the way, brings us to the myth of catching up on sleep.
Yeah, we've all been there. Sleeping in on the weekends, trying to make up for those late nights.
But does it really work? That's the question.
That's where this whole idea of sleep debt comes in, right?
Exactly. This source is all about debunking that myth of catching up on sleep. It's like you can't just bank sleep for later, you know?
Like, you can't just pay it all back at once.
Nope. Consistently skimping on those it has a real impact.
Makes sense. But beyond just feeling tired, how bad is it really?
It's pretty bad. This source highlights all sorts of stuff, like your immune system takes a hit.
Oh, really? So you're more likely to get sick?
Totally. More susceptible to colds, infections, you name it. And physically, you don't recover as well from workouts. Your metabolism slows down. Even hormone production gets messed up.
Wow, that's way more than just feeling a little sluggish.
Oh, it gets worse. It can even mess with your brain power.
Like, you can't think straight.
Exactly. Attention, memory, decision-making, all impaired. You're more prone to making mistakes, having accidents even.
I've totally noticed that when I'm sleep deprived, everything feels harder, I'm more forgetful, just like slower overall.
And here's the kicker. This source links sleep debt to a more negative outlook on life.
So you're just grumpier.
Basically, you're more irritable, stressed, anxious, even depressed. It's like sleep deprivation throws a gray filter over everything.
It makes sense. When you're exhausted, it's harder to see the bright side of things. So what can we do about it? I mean, we can't always avoid late nights.
True. But this source says even when you can't get those full 8 hours, there are ways to minimize the damage.
Damage control for our sleep, huh?
Exactly. For example, if you know you're going to be short on sleep, try going to bed earlier the next night instead of sleeping in.
Get back on track as soon as possible.
Exactly. And those nights when you can get a full night's sleep, really prioritize quality. Create a relaxing bedtime routine. Optimize your sleep environment. Ditch the caffeine and alcohol before bed. You know the drill.
It's all about being mindful. Now, I'm really curious about this sleep efficiency thing.
Ah, yes. It's not just about time spent in bed. It's about how much of that time you're actually sleeping.
Okay, so even if I'm in bed for 8 hours, I might not be getting 8 hours of sleep.
Exactly. Think about all the times you wake up during the night. Even if it's just for a minute to adjust your pillow or go to the bathroom, maybe your mind's racing. Those little interruptions add up.
Wow, hadn't thought about it like that.
And get this source has some calculations that show just how much those little interruptions matter. For example, if you spend 8 hours in bed, but your sleep efficiency is only 80%, you're actually only getting 6 hours and 24 minutes of real sleep.
No way. That's almost 2 hours less.
Yep. That's why this whole sleep efficiency thing is so important.
Okay, so how do we get that efficiency up?
Lots of great tips in here. First up, establish a consistent bedtime routine. Signals to your body, okay, time to wind down.
Make it a habit.
Exactly. And this might sound obvious, but make your bed for sleep only. No working, no TV, no scrolling on your phone, not even reading.
Whoa, no more late night Netflix.
Nope. Bed is for sleep and relaxation. That's it. It helps strengthen that connection between bed and sleep.
Clear boundaries. Okay, so what else impacts sleep quality?
Oh, tons of things. Sleep posture, timing of your sleep, and then there's the whole caffeine, alcohol, cannabis thing.
Okay, let's start with posture. I've heard sleeping on your side is better. Is that true?
This source actually recommends sleeping on your left side specifically. Might sound a bit odd, but there's a reason. Helps with blood flow, reduces pressure on your organs.
Interesting. Never thought about it like that.
And they even say it can help with snoring and sleep apnea.
So it's not just about comfort, it's about positioning your body for better sleep.
Exactly. Use pillows to support proper alignment, reduce strain on your back and neck. Now, let's talk timing. Does when we sleep matter as long as we get enough hours?
I've always wondered that.
It totally does. It's all about your circadian rhythm. It's like your body's internal clock regulating sleep, hormones, body temperature.
I've heard messing with your circadian rhythm can be bad for you.
You're right. And this source says the middle of your sleep should ideally fall around 2 a.m.
Wait, 2 a.m.? That seems really specific.
It's based on when your body naturally experiences dips in temperature and alertness. Optimal for those sleep phases, apparently.
Interesting. But what about people who work night shifts?
Good point. Everyone's different. The takeaway is to be aware of your circadian rhythm and try to adjust your sleep schedule as much as you can.
So even small tweaks can help. Now, this source also talks about sleep and resilience. How are those two connected?
Well, think of good sleep as giving you armor to face life's challenges. You handle stress better, avoid burnout, even regulate your emotions more effectively.
It's like a superpower.
Right. It also helps you recover faster from setbacks, both physically and emotionally.
So sleep is like a buffer against life stresses. Okay, now let's talk insomnia. It's a big problem for a lot of people.
This source has a whole section on it. Lots of evidence-based techniques to try. Exercise, relaxing bedtime routines, and cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay, break it down. What kind of exercise?
Moderate intensity stuff like brisk walking, swimming, cycling, but not too close to bedtime.
Right, don't want to be all wired up before bed.
And for those relaxing bedtime routines, think warm bath, reading a book, listening to calming music, maybe some gentle stretching or meditation.
Anything that chills you out.
Exactly. Now, cognitive behavioral therapy, that's more about addressing those negative thought patterns and behaviors that can cause insomnia.
Feels more intense.
It can be, yeah. It usually involves working with a therapist to identify and challenge those thoughts, develop healthier sleep habits, and learn relaxation techniques.
So it's like a mind-body approach.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room, caffeine.
Ah, yes. The double-edged sword. It gives you energy, but it can also wreck your sleep if you're not careful.
Tell me about it. I've had those nights where I'm, like, wired but tired after having coffee too late.
This source stresses that you gotta limit caffeine in those hours before bed. They recommend at least a 6-hour cutoff.
6 hours, huh?
But everyone's different. Some people can have coffee late in the day with no problem. Others are super sensitive. There's even a gene variation that affects how fast you metabolize caffeine.
Wow, didn't know that. So know thyself, right? What about alcohol?
Ah, the myth of the nightcap. This source says it might make you drowsy at first, but it actually screws up your sleep quality later on.
How so?
It messes with your REM sleep, which is crucial, like we talked about. Plus, it disrupts hormone production, increases snoring, and sleep apnea.
So it's not the sleep aid people think it is.
Nope. Plus, it makes you pee more, leading to those middle-of-the-night bathroom breaks. Now, another big one these days, cannabis.
I know a lot of people swear by it for sleep.
This source actually digs into the science. Both THC and CBD, they've shown some short-term benefits for sleep.
Really? So it's not all hype.
Well, there's a catch. THC might initially boost deep sleep, but long-term, it messes with your REM sleep, creates a kind of REM debt.
Ah, not good. What about CBD?
CBD can help with anxiety, which can definitely make it easier to fall asleep. But this source cautions that overall, cannabis should be used sparingly for sleep. Long-term use can actually make things worse.
So it's not a magic bullet.
Nope. This source really emphasizes finding those sustainable solutions, addressing the root causes of your sleep problems. Anything else about individual factors impacting sleep that you want to cover?
Man, this deep dive has really got me thinking about my sleep habits. It's crazy how much there is to learn about something we do every single night.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like you think you know sleep, but then you realize there's this whole other level.
Totally. And it's not just about knowing the facts. It's about, like, actually using that knowledge to sleep better.
Exactly. What are some of the things that have really stood out to you so far?
I think that connection between sleep and resilience, that was a big one for me. Like, how getting enough sleep can actually make us more resilient.
Oh, yeah. It's like good sleep equips you to handle whatever life throws at you. This source even mentions that sleep can help you recover faster from setbacks, both physically and emotionally.
It's like, if you're well rested, you can bounce back from anything.
Exactly. And I think that whole thing about sleep efficiency, that was really eye-opening too. Like all those little interruptions during the night, they really add up.
I'm definitely guilty of that. Tossing and turning, waking up to check my phone. No more.
It's all about creating that consistent routine, making your bedroom a sleep sanctuary, you know?
Absolutely. Now, I got to ask about that ideal sleep timing thing. You know, the source said the middle of our sleep should ideally fall around 2 a.m.
Yeah, that does seem kind of specific.
Like, is that really possible for everyone?
Well, it's more of a guideline. The source acknowledges that everyone's different. Our circadian rhythms vary based on age, genetics, even our lifestyle.
Right. Some people are night owls, some are early birds.
Exactly. The point is to listen to your body and find a schedule that works for you.
Find that sweet spot. Now, I got to admit, some of the stuff about the science of sleep, it gets a little, technical.
Oh, yeah, all those brainwave patterns and hormone stuff.
Yeah. Can you break it down a bit? Like, for us non-scientists.
Sure. Each sleep stage has its own unique brainwave patterns, which scientists can measure. So, like, deep sleep is associated with these slow delta waves.
Delta waves. Sounds intense.
They just indicate a state of deep relaxation. It's when the real restorative stuff happens. And then REM sleep, that's when the brain activity looks more like you're awake.
But you're not actually awake.
Nope, you're paralyzed, basically. But your brain's buzzing, and during these different stages, your body releases hormones. Growth hormone during deep sleep, cortisol in the morning. It's pretty amazing.
It's like a whole symphony happening while we sleep.
It really is. And this source also talks about how noise and light can mess with our sleep.
Makes sense. I definitely sleep better when it's dark and quiet. Any scientific reason for that?
Totally. Our brains are wired to pay attention to sounds, especially unexpected ones. Could signal danger, And light, especially that blue light from electronics, it messes with your melatonin production.
Melatonin, that's the sleep hormone, right?
Yep. So those late night scrolling sessions, they're double trouble.
Ugh, I know I got to break that habit.
Yeah.
So dim the lights, ditch the screens, got it.
And don't forget, get enough daylight during the day helps reset that internal clock.
Like a natural reset button. Okay, now, what about sleep trackers?
The tech side of sleep. I've tried those apps, but I'm not sure how accurate they are.
This source doesn't specifically mention those devices, but it does stress the importance of understanding your sleep patterns. So a tracker could be helpful for getting some data.
Like how long you're sleeping, what stages you're hitting, even your heart rate during sleep.
Interesting. But what if you get too obsessed with those numbers, like stressing about not getting a perfect sleep score?
That's a valid point. It's about using the data thoughtfully, not getting obsessed. If it starts stressing you out, ditch the tracker and focus on those good sleep habits we talked about.
Right, keep it simple.
That way-
Now, this source throws a lot of tips our way. Can feel a bit overwhelming. Where should someone start?
Yeah, it can be tempting to try to change everything at once, but this source recommends taking it slow. Pick one or two small changes to focus on first.
Baby steps.
Exactly. Maybe start with a consistent bedtime routine or cut out caffeine after lunch. Create a more relaxing sleep environment. Once those become habit, you can add more.
I like that. Feels more manageable. Now, last question. Supplements. This source mentions melatonin, magnesium, GABA. What's the deal with those?
Supplements can definitely play a role, but always talk to your doctor first, especially if you have any health conditions or taking other medications.
Safety first. So what about those specific ones? Melatonin, that's the sleep hormone, right?
Exactly. Your body makes it naturally. Taking a supplement can help sometimes, like with jet lag or shift work, but it's not a long-term fix for chronic sleep problems.
Makes sense. What about magnesium?
Magnesium is good for muscle relaxation and nerve function. Some studies say it can improve sleep.
I've also heard it helps with leg cramps, which can definitely wake you up at night.
Could be. Magnesium is involved in muscle function. Then there's GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that promotes relaxation and reduces anxiety.
So it chills you out.
Basically, some people swear by it for sleep.
It sounds like these supplements could be helpful, but it's best to check with a doctor first.
Definitely. And remember, supplements are not a substitute for good sleep hygiene. They should work together. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's recap those key takeaways.
Hit me with them.
First and foremost, sleep quality over quantity. Make those hours count. We talked about the 4 sleep stages, how each one plays a role, debunked the myth of catching up on sleep.
We also got tons of practical tips for improving sleep quality. Routines, environment, light, noise, diet, all of it.
And that connection between sleep and resilience, that's a big one.
Super important. We even got a little creative with Edison's power nap trick.
Always a good one. And for those dealing with insomnia, we covered a range of techniques and even touched on supplements.
We really covered it all. This has been an amazing deep dive.
I agree. So as we sign off, here's a final thought for everyone listening. Now that you know all this stuff about sleep, what one small change are you going to make this week to prioritize your sleep?
Great question. Whether it's adjusting your sleep schedule, creating a relaxing bedtime routine, cutting back on caffeine, or just paying more attention to your body's cues, remember, even small changes can make a big difference. Sweet dreams, everyone.